Hello and welcome to another episode of Dime.Scheduler in under 10 minutes. In this video, I will show you how you can plan production orders in Business Central with Dime.Scheduler as the visual planning layer. With various types of manufacturing processes, you can imagine that there are many different ways to approach the planning aspect. Today, I will present an approach that's suitable for repetitive, continuous, and discrete manufacturing processes, which allows me to use standard Business Central planned production orders. So let's have a look at how it works. Let's take a quick tour of what we're seeing on screen. I have a browser open with two tabs. In the active tab, we see our trusty planning tool, Dime.Scheduler, and in the second tab, we will find a standard version of Business Central Cloud. Here in Dime.Scheduler, I have set up a workspace, which we call a user profile, to plan production orders. So we will find a planning board in the middle of the screen that only displays machine centers and work centers. We can set this filter on the type column that will filter out everything that is not a machine and a work center, which we manage in Business Central. At the bottom of the screen, we will also find a planned tasks list, which is basically a grid-based version of our planning board, which also contains the filter on the resource type column, so we only see the planned tasks of our machine and work centers. And at the right, we have a details component that displays more information of the selected task or appointment. The typical flow of drag and drop from the open tasks list to the planning board does not apply to this kind of production planning. Instead, we rely on Business Central and the algorithms inside of it to generate a schedule for us. So we're going to use the capabilities of BC to generate a schedule, and then we'll visualize the planning that comes out of it in our planning tool, so you can have this centralized overview of your machine centers and work centers schedule. So now we're going to go to Business Central and create a planned production order there. Just about everything that we're going to show next is standard Business Central functionality. The only new element is to have the possibility to send over the production schedule to Dime.Scheduler. But apart from that, all standard capabilities, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here. With that in mind, let me hop over to our planned production orders list and create a new order. Starting with the source number, and I may have to scroll down a little bit to find the right item. Here we go. And let's produce a batch of 50 items. To select a due date, we can use our planning board and see what date would be feasible and realistic. So we can determine that March 1st would be a good due date for that order. So let's use that date and then we can continue. At this point, we can ask Business Central to create a schedule for us, which we can do by refreshing the production order. We can use the defaults as outlined here, and then as soon as I hit OK, Business Central will create the schedule for us, which we can look in closer detail when we go to the line section here and open the routing lines. And what we see here, this is the schedule. So under normal circumstances in Dime.Scheduler, through drag and drop from the open tasks list to the planning board, we will reach out to Business Central and write back information like these lines here, which is essentially a combination of a resource, a task, a date, and a time. So here it works the opposite way. Business Central will create a schedule for us, and now we can decide to visualize this planning in the planning board. We can do that by going back to our planned production order, navigate to the actions item in the ribbon, and then under the Dime.Scheduler submenu, we can send this order or remove the order from the planning tool. In contrast to other modules, we will not create items in the open task list, but we will create appointments directly onto our planning board. So each routing line that we saw before will have a corresponding block in the planning board. So let's do that. Then we can go back to Dime.Scheduler. Back in Dime.Scheduler, we can see we have 4 new appointments on our planning board. These correspond to the 4 routing lines in Business Central. The background color of an appointment is linked to the production order's status. In this particular case, green means it is a firm planned order, while blue means it is a released order. And now that we have the routing lines on the planning board, we can do minor adjustments to the schedule. But the bottom line is, Business Central might overrule and might override what I've just done in the planning board. So we will make sure Business Central reruns its rules, reruns its engine, and update the schedule according to all the variables and all the parameters that are in there. So even if I reschedule for a different day, Business Central might reject that depending on the algorithms. So you can see it might cause a cascading of all the other routing lines in the order. Let's go back to Business Central and update the status of this order. Just go here, change the status, and let's put this one to released. If you've previously sent this order to Dime.Scheduler, we will make sure to update that background color to reflect that status as well. So if we then go back to the planning board, we can see this order now has this blue background color, meaning that it is now a released production order. This type of planning is suitable for continuous, repetitive, and discrete manufacturing processes. If Standard Business Central suits your needs, you can plug in Dime.Scheduler to visualize your production schedule. For other types of manufacturing processes like job shop scheduling, Dime.Scheduler may offer other capabilities, which we might cover in a future video. If you want to learn more, check out our website dime.scheduler.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.